Morning and welcome to the Friday, July 3rd Let's Talk. Today we're going to talk about two subjects. We're going to talk about the positive test that we announced in the Thursday 360 letter, and we're also going to talk about phase 5. So as you're aware, on Wednesday night we became aware that we had a housekeeping employee who tested positive to COVID-19. This employee had been on vacation for 13 days prior to testing positive. That's the good news. Good news is there was very little exposure to Westminster Village, if any. We believe after talking to the family that this employee probably was exposed to it on her vacation, started feeling sick as she came back from her vacation and did not come back onto campus. The bad news is we have an employee who's in the hospital and very sick. So again, I ask each of you, if you are a person who prays, say some prayers for her. If not, think some positive thoughts for her. We will keep residents updated of the status of this employee as we become aware of any changes. Second thing I want to talk about is phase 5. I've had a lot of people call me, stop me in the hall, stop me in the parking lot, and want to talk about why we're making the changes we're making. I think right now about 50% of the people are happy with the changes I've made, 50% of the people are unhappy with me with the changes we made. Maybe today 100% of the people will be unhappy with when I explain why we're making the changes, but I want to talk about it anyways. So a couple of reasons we're making the changes and making them now. The reality is we've been making some of these changes since the beginning of this. Every week something has changed. We've tried to get better at what we do to keep the virus off campus. With this, our focus changes really into keeping the virus from spreading when and if it comes on campus again. And we're doing it for a couple of reasons. Again, normalcy is one of those things. We know that COVID-19 is going to be around probably for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And we have to get back to some sense of normalcy. That's the smallest part of it. The next part is the mental and physical health. We have people not going to doctor's appointments that they need to go to. We have people avoiding appointments that they need to keep, and that's putting a strain on people's physical and mental health. And that can be just as big of a concern in some cases as COVID-19. So we need to put some things in place that allow for that to happen without people having a 14-day isolation, which causes some more mental health distress. The bigger reason for this change and the change at this time is with COVID-19 cases going up in Arizona and the near misses going up on campus, it's an opportunity to really talk about and get people to believe in the fact that there's an individual responsibility in keeping ourselves safe. Westminster Village can put a lot of pieces in place that reduce the risk of COVID-19 coming onto this campus, but there's nothing we can do to stop it from happening. So in the end, every one of us have an individual responsibility to decide what level of risk we're willing to take or not take, to decide who is in our small social circle and who is not. And I think now's an opportunity to really evaluate that. And again, with the numbers going up in Arizona, with the near misses happening on campus, I need every single one of our employees and residents and visitors, vendors that come on campus to look at this and really decide where is their risk level, and not to let somebody into their home or into their small space that has a different risk tolerance than they do. It is critical that we each make good decisions. Westminster Village can keep a lot of COVID-19 off campus. Westminster Village can't stop it from spreading if people have too many people in their social group, if people refuse to wear masks or don't wear them properly, if people come close together with others. Again, we have to do the physical distancing. We have to wear the masks for coverage. We have to do a whole bunch of things to keep COVID-19 from hitting us individually. And again, I think this is an opportunity to really talk about a subject that isn't easy to talk about. Nobody wants to think that they're not 100% safe on our 16 acres, but our 16 acres of land aren't sacred. It doesn't keep COVID-19 off this campus. At this point in time, with the numbers in Arizona, with the near misses on campus, it's critical that each one of us take on that personal responsibility and do our part to not let somebody into our 6-foot distance, into our area, into our apartments, who's taking risks that you won't. So again, probably not a popular thing to say, but I think that's the single thing that's gonna keep Westminster Village safer as we move into phase 5. It's people taking on that personal responsibility and managing their risk tolerance, not letting somebody else to walk into their space who is willing to take more risks than they will. And again, I'm asking employees to do this same thing. Some of you know I've been doing this same thing. You know, I'm not willing to take a risk. I have a very, very small social circle. I talked to some of you about this several months ago, actually. My wife had to go to California to visit her sister. My wife isolated for 2 weeks before I could spend time with her. And that's a harsh thing to do and say, but the reality is that's how we keep each other safe. But it's an individual decision that each individual has to make. Not every employee will make that decision. Not every resident will. But we have to individually look at it, because ultimately each one of us decide if we are going to take a risk and if we're going to put ourselves at risk. It's not somebody else who has that control. It's each of us. So again, I expect to have a bunch of phone calls, and I'm happy to talk about it, but you know, my goal here is keep Westminster Village as safe as possible, keep Westminster Village a place that people want to live and work. And it gets harder and harder every day with COVID, and we have, you know, several months of this left, but we're going to continue to do our best, and I need residents to continue to do what they've been doing, which is incredible. Again, the sacrifice that residents have made, the incredible generosity of donating to the staff lunches, the making the mask has been great. And again, we need to keep that up, and we need employees to do the same thing. So thank you, and have a good night.